Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you've handed us a truly, fascinating collection of documents, really quite something.
Yeah.
We're looking at bits from the 1961 UN Single Drug Convention, this rather involved file called Case Overviews, Intelligence, Counterintelligence, ABCIQ Cases.pdf, and then another text, Widow's Care and Husband's Ailments.
Quite a mix, yeah.
It is. It's quite the array, and our mission really is to explore the key insights and maybe some surprising connections we can find within these diverse materials.
Right.
We'll be navigating, everything from international drug policy, security stuff, to some very personal situations with potential legal weight. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the 1961 UN Single Drug Convention.
Yeah.
And its connection to cannabis as medicine.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, actually, seeing patient rights and cannabis as medicine being discussed, way back in the context of this foundational UN agreement from 61.
Right.
It really sets the stage, I think, for understanding how global views on drug policy have, shifted over time.
What jumps out immediately, though, is this mention of seeking high-level security clearance, UN and RCMP level, for growing cannabis.
Exactly. That bit stood out. It wasn't just a casual thought. It suggests a really significant planned undertaking.
Absolutely. Pursuing that kind of clearance, it points to an ambition to operate in a very highly regulated space, doesn't it? And potentially at scale.
Definitely.
What sort of hurdles, thinking back to the early 60s, what challenges would someone face trying to do that, given the prevailing attitudes then?
Oh, that's a crucial question. In 1961, the international scene for cannabis was way more restrictive than now. So seeking that level of security clearance, it probably meant navigating huge bureaucratic political obstacles. It suggests they really understood the system, maybe even had a strategic goal to, influence policy down the line.
Interesting.
It wasn't just about growing plants. It hinted at something bigger.
And that bigger vision seems to include, getting funding for an online university college and scaling this cannabis work globally.
Yeah, it paints this picture of a multifaceted thing. Education, maybe international business linked to medical cannabis.
Okay, so we see this ambition around medical cannabis operating within that UN framework. Now let's look at the ABC IQ Cases document.
Right.
Notice how the name Shelley D. Truchmuch pops up again. And a 2019 tender with a UN agency, again, for higher level cannabis clearance.
Yes. That thread continues decades later.
It suggests those earlier ambitions weren't just theory, right? They were actively pursued years later within the UN system. And this seems to be an area of focus for this intelligence gathering outfit, ABCIQ.
What's fascinating is the persistence. The ABCIQ cases file, mentioned in this level 6 security intelligence context, which sounds pretty high-level sensitive stuff.
Yeah.
It mentions this UN tender, cannabis growth, jurisdiction. It's a direct link between that old UN convention and these later security activities. It really makes you wonder how these seemingly separate fields connect.
It's quite a connection, yeah. The ABCIQ cases then just broadens out hugely, dives into a whole range of security themes. Feels like a totally different world almost. We're talking security breaches, data transmission, digital security systems, and some really busted questions about, your privacy in the digital age.
And this really brings up a critical point for you listening.
Right.
It's that balance, national security needs versus, your own privacy rights. Especially today, the document mentions social media companies may be having to turn over private data.
To the CIA, Pentagon,
Right.
maybe without a warrant, or you even knowing.
Exactly. And the mention of FISA courts, that underscores the U.S. legal framework for surveillance requests, national security context, usually.
Right.
Their mention here just highlights how complex this all is. Digital privacy, government spying, and how defining truth versus false news gets really, really tricky in this space.
Absolutely. Makes you think about the legal system, how it needs to adapt its policies on warrants, digital surveillance. It's moving so fast. And the document throws in mitigating conspiracy to commit murder and impersonating a federal officer in this section, too. That highlights some very serious potential outcomes of security breaches.
Exactly. It really underscores the high stakes, maintaining security, and the severe legal trouble you can get into when those lines are crossed.
Then we get this almost rapid-fire list. Seems like unconnected events. A Dubai consulate meeting, special forces, a civilian involved in education, reports of hacked accounts, AOL, Yahoo, Gmail, an alleged mail hack in Doha, and a really disturbing mention of hacked emails linked to a hostage situation in Macau.
It's quite a list.
It is. You kind of wonder, what's the thread here?
Well, what's notable is just the sheer breadth of potential security concerns being tracked. It goes from cyber intrusions on personal accounts
Right.
to interactions with military people overseas, even potential kidnapping scenarios. It gives you a sense of the diverse risks that security intelligence might be looking at.
Okay, fast forward to 2022. There's a mention of a trail cam on a house and potential involvement of CSIS, the RCMP, First Nations Police Force. That feels much closer to home, a domestic security thing.
Yeah, it suggests ongoing surveillance, maybe coordinated efforts between different police forces in Canada and involving First Nations police, highlights those specific jurisdictional community factors that come up in domestic security.
The document then touches on separation of faith and state, women's rights, specifically voting, and then circles back to cannabis policy for patients.
It's an interesting mix, isn't it? Societal policy issues, but presented in this security intelligence context.
Yeah, how do they link up?
Well, if you think big picture, these topics, faith and state, women's rights, drug policy, they often represent areas of potential social or political tension, right? So from a security intelligence view, understanding those dynamics might be key for assessing potential instability or, social change.
Then there's this wealth blockchain check mentioned. 2017 to 2025, secure key transactions.
Right.
Suggests they're aware of, maybe even involved in, monitoring or securing digital financial stuff, which, for you listening, shows how even your digital money life might intersect with bigger security concerns.
Yeah, it reflects how important digital currencies and blockchain are becoming globally. And so obviously relevant to security agencies tracking money flows, illicit activities, maybe other reasons.
Okay, now, this next part takes a very serious turn. The document, and we need to stress this, impartially reports on allegations around a Murder One case from 2017.
Right. Very important distinction.
It includes alleged use of arsenic, warfarin, questioning the husband's terminal diagnosis, and a portrayal of the widow's behavior as, well, callous. It's absolutely crucial we emphasize this is reported content. We're not making judgments or backing these claims.
Exactly. We have to maintain that impartial stance. The document presents some incredibly grave allegations. Foul play in a death initially thought natural. The descriptions of the widow's alleged behavior, they're certainly disturbing. But essential to remember, these are just reported claims in this document at this stage.
Following this, there are more allegations. Public slander, spreading hate, specifically anti-Ukrainian, anti-cannabis, anti-Islamic sentiments mentioned.
Wow.
And demands for investment money without providing professional resources. These are serious accusations, could have major legal consequences.
These allegations suggest a pattern, maybe, extending beyond personal fights into potential criminal civil territory. Spreading hate speech, dodgy investment schemes, they can bring severe penalties in many places.
The document specifically notes the potential for a very long prison sentence in the USA for Murder One. It also mentions a Burkus pre-sales valuation of $1.7 million. And the claimant reportedly wants to sue in the U.S. for various things, complex PTSD, indemnification of assets. Suggests a big financial and legal battle with international aspects.
Yeah, and for listeners, a Burkus pre-sales valuation is basically a way to estimate a company's worth before it goes public or gets bought, based on management, market potential, stuff like that.
So as mentioned here, indicates potentially high stakes in these disputes.
And that Burkus valuation likely links back to the publishing company and online university college mentioned earlier, right? Suggests a significant business is at the heart of some of these fights.
Seems like it.
And the lawsuit in the U.S. shows a desire for redress for a whole range of alleged harms, personal, financial, within the American legal system.
There's also conflict reported over intellectual property use and the business direction within this publishing company online university college setup.
Sounds like a power struggle, with potentially big financial and operational fallout. Disputes over IP, strategic control, especially for an online education venture with global ambitions, those often lead to intense legal fights.
Then the document reports on a 2018 situation involving the PC Party, liberal government policy, research questions, allegations of an advisor using info for their own policy gain, and a government official allegedly misusing documents for personal benefit while ABCIQ was waiting for registry. And again, the anti-Islamic policy debate is mentioned here.
This section touches on that complex mix.
Yeah.
Business, politics, ethics. The allegations of misusing information, policy appropriation, they raise serious questions about transparency, integrity in government, political circles. And the anti-Islamic policy debate coming up again underscores a sensitive social issue that can get tangled up with politics, even security.
Maybe one of the most concerning parts here. The reported arrest and detention of someone in a high-security psych ward. Allegations of over-medication.
Yeah, that's deeply troubling.
This person is described as a cannabinopathic medicine patient, injured in a 2010 ATV accident. It immediately raises huge questions about patient rights, due process, proper treatment for people with medical conditions in the legal system.
It's a deeply troubling account, especially given the person's documented medical status, their prescribed treatment, detention in a high-security psych ward, over-medication claims. Those are serious red flags. Potential medical negligence, violation of basic rights.
Right.
And the fact they were a medical cannabis patient adds another layer of complexity, particularly with how cannabis use is understood legally and medically, which is still evolving.
Then in 2020, there's this brief but kind of striking mention. A LinkedIn interaction with a chemical engineer who's allegedly in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
That definitely catches your attention. Makes you wonder about the context.
Yeah.
The fact it was noted in this security intelligence context, just potential monitoring analysis of digital communications involving people in sensitive or high security locations, no matter how innocent the interaction might seem on the surface.
The document also touches on a pretty wide range of topics: training and development methods, defense science principles, leadership pose research. Specifically, Amy Cuddy's work is referenced.
Yeah, it seems to pull from a diverse set of fields relevant to security and leadership. It indicates an interest in understanding, maybe applying, principles from different disciplines, behavioral science, leadership studies, and security contexts to improve training effectiveness.
There's also a note about a 2020 interaction with a UN private contractor.
Reinforcing the earlier UN mentions.
Yeah, highlights the diverse network of people potentially connected to these cases.
And engaging with UN private contractors just further underscores the international scope of these issues. Lots of different actors involved with UN-related activities.
Then we have info about a 9-year-old boy. In Los Angeles, family in Amsterdam and Dubai. Reported identity checks involving multiple passports, names.
Sounds like a complex family situation. Potential international, legal, child welfare implications authorities might need to track. The multiple passports and names for a kid immediately raise questions. Identity verification, underlying legal or personal issues, especially crossing multiple jurisdictions.
The vessel location section, it details this really challenging situation. An engineer stranded during COVID, lack of support, problems with data transmission.
Right.
And notably, it mentions ABC IQ provided assistance, gives a glimpse into real-world crisis response.
Yeah, it's a concrete example of the kind of real-world scenario that might land on the radar of an intelligence operation like this, especially during a global crisis like COVID, where people could end up really vulnerable, needing help.
The report on this engineer is impartial. Includes details like an unconfirmed accent, maybe alternative passports, money troubles. Paints a picture of someone in a really precarious spot, maybe unclear circumstances.
The uncertainty around the engineer's identity, background, it highlights the challenge of verifying info and helping in crisis situations. Misinformation or complex personal histories could be involved.
Significantly, legal guardianship was reportedly granted for the child mentioned earlier in connection with this case.
Okay. So a potentially major legal development affecting the child's life suggests formal legal intervention, possibly linked to the stranded engineer's situation and family dynamics.
The document then briefly mentions separate cases. Winnipeg cultural integration issues, vandalism. Sharjah oil trade, identity discrepancies. Smaller scale, maybe, but still relevant in this collection.
These diverse cases just show the wide spectrum of issues encountered, from local social challenges to international business deals, each potentially relevant to security or intelligence gathering.
There's also analysis on energy markets, regulation, which fits with the Sharjah oil trade consultant mention. Shows how economics is woven into the bigger picture.
Including energy market analysis highlights how important it is to understand economic, geopolitical forces that intersect with security, especially in regions heavy in industries like oil.
The document then shifts, addresses broader societal issues, things likely on many listeners' minds. Gun use, atomic weapons, human rights globally, economic destruction in various countries.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the big challenges facing the world. Reflects a high-level awareness of major global issues impacting security, stability, underscores how interconnected these seemingly separate challenges are.
Following that, there's a call for national security strategies, peace economics discussions using human-centered design principles, suggests a proactive, holistic approach,
Yeah.
considering security and human well-being.
It indicates a forward-thinking perspective, yeah. Moving beyond just reacting to threats, focusing instead on building more resilient, peaceful, human-centered societies.
Technology gaps between rural and urban areas are noted, and a continental tech check related to Veritas COVID and shared data highlights the need for fair tech access, especially during a health crisis, and effective data sharing.
The digital divide issue, the need for solid data sharing during health emergencies, those are critical for national resilience, effective crisis management.
Circling back to drug policy, the evolution of UN drug conventions, and the WHO announcement about declassifying cannabis from Schedule 1 gets mentioned.
That's a big shift in international views on cannabis.
Right. Yeah, and for listeners, that WHO announcement is a major reevaluation. Highest international health authority acknowledging potential medical uses.
It signifies a substantial change in the global regulatory landscape for cannabis. Yeah. Reflects growing recognition of its therapeutic potential. Prompts a rethink of international drug control policies.
The discussion then touches on innovative approaches, using algae lakes for synthetic THC, hydroponic cannabis for science and medical education.
Points towards future directions in cannabis research application. Suggests a move towards more controlled, scientifically rigorous ways of producing and studying cannabis for medical and research uses. Could lead to new therapies.
The idea of natural labs like spas, tourism spots, and developing AI warning systems also comes up. Interesting combo. Leveraging nature and advanced tech for health, wellness, safety applications.
Highlights the potential for integrating natural environments with cutting-edge tech, creating innovative solutions for health promotion, wellness, early warning systems for various threats.
The document also digs into big societal, historical issues. Colonization, space sovereignty, First Nations education, ongoing challenges like racial segregation, migrant literacy, self-governance. It's a broad look at fundamental societal structures, rights.
These are fundamental issues, aren't they? Justice, equity, self-determination, profound implications for social cohesion, political stability, recognizing historical injustices within and between nations.
Issues around incarceration, recidivism rates, potential solutions like community service, land-based learning are discussed, indicates a focus on finding more effective restorative justice approaches.
The emphasis on recidivism, alternative justice, reflects a growing understanding of the need for rehabilitation, reintegration, and addressing the root causes of crime.
The cost of childcare, its legal and social aspects get a brief mention too, underscoring economic, societal factors impacting families, workforce participation significantly.
Affordability, access to quality childcare, crucial for economic participation, family well-being, big implications for social policy, legal frameworks.
International conflicts, Iraq, Syria specifically, and their huge consequences, including this concept of economic hitmen, are acknowledged.
A sobering perspective on global power dynamics and their impact.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar, economic hitmen is a term for people who allegedly use financial manipulation to subject countries to dominant powers' interests.
These references highlight the devastating human, economic costs of conflict and the complex interplay of politics and economics driving instability, suffering globally.
The document mentions war crimes, the Geneva Conventions, even provides website links, underscores the importance of international law, accountability in armed conflict.
Emphasizing war crimes, Geneva Conventions, serves as a reminder of the legal framework governing conflict and the principles of accountability for violating international humanitarian law.
It also includes a pretty stark critical view mentioning Al-Qaeda and ISIS as potentially American innovation gone bad.
Wow, that prompts a difficult reflection, doesn't it? Unintended consequences of certain actions, policies. Raises a crucial point about how even well-meant actions or tech can have unforeseen negative outcomes in our complex world.
The intriguing idea of turning military bases into schools or prisons focused on food growth, sustainability is also proposed.
That's a creative vision. Transforming resources towards potentially more beneficial societal goals suggests an innovative approach to using existing infrastructure for more constructive outcomes. Rehab, education, self-sufficiency through sustainable practices like growing food.
The recurring concerns about mass surveillance, data collection, your privacy rights versus social media and government agencies' PRISM, X-Keyscore mentioned again.
Right. Highlights that ongoing tension. National security versus individual liberty in the digital age. Listeners might recall PRISM and X-Keyscore were reported programs involving widespread U.S. intelligence data collection.
The repeated emphasis just underscores this enduring debate, finding the right balance between security and the fundamental right to privacy in an increasingly digital world. U.S. veto use at the UN regarding Israel, the broader question of representation for weaker nations. These are brought up, touching on complex geopolitics, effectiveness of international bodies and ensuring fairness.
Points to the inherent challenges in international diplomacy, yeah. Potential for power imbalances to influence decision-making in global bodies like the UN.
The issue of a Palestinian state, potential solutions are mentioned. Shows awareness of this long-standing conflict, the ongoing search for peace.
Highlights one of the most protracted, complex geopolitical challenges. Needs multifaceted, diplomatically sensitive approaches for lasting peace.
Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, referenced in the context of data breaches, espionage, framing them as key figures in the debate on government transparency versus protecting classified info.
They've become iconic figures, haven't they, in this ongoing discussion about balancing national security, freedom of information, and potential government overreach in the digital age.
The importance of ethics, your privacy, internet usage security are emphasized, underscores the need for responsible online behavior, strong safeguards.
Highlights the growing importance of developing ethical frameworks, implementing practical security measures for safe, responsible internet and tech engagement.
USA-Iran tensions, related defense systems mentioned, reflects a persistent area of geopolitical concern, potential global impact.
Acknowledges a significant ongoing international tension zone, potential to affect regional stability, global security.
The Iranian Revolution, ongoing issues with women's rights in Iran are brought up, highlighting that complex interplay of political change and social progress.
Points to the intricate relationship between political shifts and the evolution of social norms, rights within a society, often with big challenges, ongoing struggles.
Climate change, the crucial issue of energy regulation discussed again, reinforcing their critical importance as global challenges needing urgent attention.
Reiterating climate change, energy regulation underscores their fundamental importance for the planet's future. Urgent need for effective policy responses at all levels.
The Qatar embargo, related media codes Al Jazeera specifically mentioned are noted, highlights how media can play a big role in international disputes, information as both a tool and a point of conflict.
Illustrates how media can become a powerful tool in international conflicts, shaping public narratives, influencing diplomatic relations.
The London bombing, the continued threat from extremist organizations referenced, a reminder of ongoing terrorism challenges, the need for vigilance.
Serves as a stark reminder of the persistent threat of extremist ideologies, potential for violence. Requires ongoing security efforts, international cooperation.
The document discusses natural disasters, potential man-made events, emphasizing societal vulnerability to a wide range of crises, the importance of preparedness, resilience.
Highlights the need for proactive measures, preparing for, mitigating impacts of both natural disasters and potential human-caused catastrophes.
Qatar's innovative Cool Pavement project gets a mention, alongside social issues like women needing male guardian permission for certain things. Gives specific examples of diverse social, cultural landscapes globally.
These details offer a glimpse into varied social, cultural norms across nations, including differing levels of personal freedoms, rights.
Equal rights, migrant literacy initiatives, the principle of separating faith and state mentioned again, underscoring their significance as recurring themes around social justice, governance.
The repeated emphasis on these principles highlights their fundamental importance for building just, equitable, inclusive societies.
Developing IQ applications for mental health support, peace strategy initiatives is discussed, suggesting innovative tech approaches to mental well-being, conflict resolution.
Highlights the potential for tech to play a positive, constructive role in addressing mental health challenges, fostering peace-building efforts.
Economic issues overtaxing the middle class, persistent poverty acknowledged, along with the pressing need for more healthcare services, dental, mental, emotional care. Crucial domestic policy concerns affecting many people directly.
These issues point to significant challenges in ensuring economic security, access to essential healthcare for everyone. Requires thoughtful policy solutions, resource allocation.
The document also brings up often overlooked problems with water infrastructure in rural communities. Potential solutions, highlighting disparities in access to basic resources within nations.
Lack of adequate, reliable water infrastructure in rural areas. It's a critical issue. Significant implications for public health, economic development, overall quality of life there.
Concerns about sovereign wealth misuse, the need for greater accountability in managing these huge public funds are mentioned, underscores the importance of transparency, ethical governance.
Ensuring accountability, transparency in managing sovereign wealth funds is crucial, prevents corruption, ensures resources benefit the intended populations.
The significant impacts of poverty on overall health acknowledged, reinforcing the understanding that socioeconomic factors fundamentally determine well-being.
Underscores the interconnectedness of social economic conditions with health outcomes. Highlights the need to address poverty as a key factor in improving public health.
Challenges related to professional credentials, rising education costs, salary issues in vital sectors like social services, education, healthcare are discussed, pointing to potential systemic weaknesses in these critical areas.
These issues highlight the need for adequate investment, fair pay in these essential professions, to ensure high-quality services attract qualified people.
The grim realities of modern-day slavery, persistence of criminal intent briefly mentioned, reminding us these serious issues still exist in various forms.
Serves as a sobering reminder that despite progress, severe exploitation, criminal activity remain a significant global concern.
The document emphasizes the critical need for rigorous data confirmation from news outlets, highlighting media literacy, verifying info in today's complex, often overwhelming media landscape.
In an era of info overload, myth-information proliferation, critical evaluation of news sources, diligent fact-checking are essential skills for informed decisions, clear understanding of events.
Okay, now we get to the solutions, next steps, actions taken section. Presents a series of dates, seemingly cryptic codes, listed alongside a wide array of global events up to June 2, 2019. Qatar blockade, Assange developments, Haftar in UAE, Al Jazeera mentions, FISA stuff, oil stockpiling, Qatar ships, Iran events, Saudi executions, even Bitcoin Pizza Day in Iran, sanctions, FIFA, U.S. troops in Middle East, and more.
It's quite a list of major world events.
While the exact meaning of the codes isn't clear, their presence and timing alongside these significant events, well, it's notable, suggests a system for tracking, maybe analyzing these occurrences.
What's particularly intriguing is that attempt to create a chronological link between these diverse, significant global events using this date and code system strongly suggests an effort to monitor, categorize, maybe analyze the interconnectedness, even if the coding system's purpose remains unclear from the document alone.
Following this, a section titled UN Chemical Engineer Security Systems LinkedIn Analysis 2021 details a monitored conversation, involved giving aid, discussing policies, security issues, even personal stuff.
Really underscores how digital platforms can be used for a huge range of things, from offering support to potentially conducting surveillance.
Yeah.
Provides a concrete illustration. How digital tech can be used for humanitarian purposes, aid, support, and for intelligence gathering. Raises important ethical questions about privacy, consent, potential dual use of these platforms.
The details of Security Case 1, the stranded engineer, are repeated here. The identity checks, concerns about the vessel's contents, COVID materials versus explosives.
Right.
The engineers reported mental health challenges, the support ABCIQ apparently gave, and the follow-up contact in October 2021 under a new identity adds another layer of complexity. Intrigue.
The repeated focus on verifying the engineer's identity, their reappearance under a different name, definitely suggests a complex situation, maybe even deception. Mentioning mental health concerns, potential suicidal thoughts also highlights the significant human element, potential for severe personal distress in such crises.
The document then mentions a conditional response suicide client aid provider. Briefly outlines strategies reportedly used to support the person. Focus on empathy, resilience building, shifting focus from pain to progress, offers a glimpse into crisis intervention techniques.
Provides insight into psychological approaches in crisis management, Emphasizes building rapport, fostering hope, guiding individuals towards a more positive outlook during tough times.
Then there's this rather curious entry. July 2020 Security Systems Walmart encounter. Describes a brief parking lot interaction, someone presenting as injured, topics discussed, bionic knees, even levitation.
It's a bit surreal, unexpected in this context.
Yeah.
This seemingly unusual encounter. It raises questions about information gathering. Was it chance? Was the person being watched? Or maybe an interaction with someone facing their own challenges? It certainly stands out.
Details of Case 2, Winnipeg individual, and Case 3, Sharjah oil consultant, are repeated. Continued emphasis on identity discrepancies, communication methods used, reinforces the diverse nature of the cases examined.
Reiterating these cases highlights the variety of situations possibly under such intelligence-gathering purview. Domestic social issues to international business deals, each with unique circumstances, potential security implications.
Analysis of currency transfers, feasibility of banking in certain regions, blockchain economics principles mentioned again, underscoring the financial aspects being monitored, analyzed in this framework.
Further emphasizes the importance of understanding financial flows, tech advancements in finance from a security intelligence perspective, especially in a globalized economy.
Brief mentions then of Case 4, UN surgeon in Syria, and Case 5, Qatar diplomatic embargo media codes, suggest tracking international incidents, their potential implications.
These brief references further illustrate the wide geographical scope, diverse nature of events being monitored, humanitarian crises in conflict zones to geopolitical tensions, information warfare.
Case 6, identified as focusing on intelligence, counterintelligence within Canada, emphasis on security protocols, reputation management, IP protection themes we've touched on.
Brings the focus back to domestic security concerns. Highlights safeguarding national interest reputation, IP within Canada.
Case 7 and Case 8 listed simply as involving passport ID issues and concerns about organization IPU, university college matters, indicating specific areas of investigation or concern.
These brief entries point to practical challenges: identity management, protecting IP within organizations. Both can have significant security, legal implications.
Case 9 revisits the 2017 USA possible murder case. Again, details allegations against the widow, hate crimes mentioned, financial disputes, potential legal consequences. Crucial again, presented based on the text, no independent verification or judgment from us.
Returning to this case underscores its significance within these documents, highlights the gravity of the allegations, potential for serious legal repercussions in the U.S.
Brief mentions follow of Case 10, criminal negligence, Case 11, sexual predators online, Case 12, in-person discussions about potential sexual predators, suggests investigations or monitoring related to various types of alleged crime.
These brief entries indicate the breadth of potential threats, criminal behaviors possibly under scrutiny within this intelligence framework.
The document also notes a 2021-2022 medical negligence case, legal actions reportedly taken. Additionally, a request to define Geneva and Paris conventions, specific focus on behavior related to murder one and toxicology, suggests an ongoing legal investigative process, complex legal forensic considerations.
Mentioning legal actions, specific requests for definitions on international law, forensic science, clearly indicates a thorough, potentially legally driven inquiry into these matters.
Finally, we turn to the document titled Widow's Care and Husband's Ailments. This text really zooms in on the personal drama, accusations around the widow's alleged actions, motivations regarding her sick husband, offers a very specific accusatory view.
Yes, this document presents a highly critical, detailed account of the widow's alleged conduct intentions. Paints a very specific picture from one viewpoint.
It reports claims she prioritized her lifestyle over his comfort, mentions of blackmail, calculated behavior. The character descriptions are quite harsh, anti-Islamic, anti-Ukrainian, selfish, cheap. Even a striking anecdote about a cat and a bird used to illustrate alleged lack of empathy.
The language used here is indeed highly critical, emotionally charged, portrays an individual purportedly driven by self-interest, profound lack of compassion for her husband's suffering.
There's also an allegation she spread rumors about a project owner, actively worked to sabotage their professional reputation. Seems to connect back to the earlier mention of reputational damage in the ABCIQ cases file. Suggests a potential pattern of behavior involving interpersonal conflict, attempts to harm others.
This alleged pattern, deliberate rumor spreading, sabotage, suggests a propensity for engaging in interpersonal conflict, potentially malicious actions aimed at damaging personal and professional reputations.
The document highlights conflicting accounts of the husband's condition stroke versus terminal diagnosis. Includes a disturbing accusation she kept feeding him when he was no longer responsive. These details are central, suggest a potential motive in the alleged murder one case.
The discrepancies around the husband's actual medical condition, the claim he was fed while unresponsive, raise very serious questions about the circumstances of his death, the widow's potential role.
The document further alleges she used a blackmail to try and deflect attention from her own alleged actions.
That's a particularly troubling, racially charged accusation. Introduces a deeply problematic element. Suggests potential manipulation, exploiting racial dynamics in this complex situation.
It's noted she was reportedly fired by the investor team involved, pending litigation against her in the USA, significant claimed damages, high daily rate for legal costs, the Burkus pre-sales valuation mentioned again. Accusation she wasted significant business time really underscores the substantial financial legal fallout.
The reported firing, pending U.S. legal action, clearly indicates serious business, legal ramifications from these allegations. Substantial financial stakes for everyone involved.
There's a reference to a 2014 publishing contract in the UAE. Directly links back to the publishing company mentioned in ABCIQ cases, further illustrating the interconnectedness of these seemingly separate documents, the people involved.
Reinforces the idea these seemingly disparate documents are connected through the various business ventures, personal relationships detailed within them.
The document includes a statement attributed to the business owner, expressing significant negative impact on their personal life, professional reputation. Mentions a demand for investment repayment in the USA, uses the vivid phrase cash box and whip. References a rumor involving business partners, loan repayment reportedly denied. Stated intent to pursue legal action in Arizona, seeking a life sentence, public admissions, reveals the depth of animosity, determination to seek legal retribution.
The business owner's statement reveals the profound, personal, professional damage they claim to have suffered due to the widow's alleged actions, and their clear intent to pursue aggressive legal action, seeking severe penalties, public accountability.
Well, that was certainly a very deep dive into an incredibly complex web of information. Phew, we've navigated international drug policy, serious security concerns, intricate business disputes, and some very, very grave personal allegations, all drawn from the documents you shared.
Absolutely. These documents, when you look at them together, they offer a fascinating and sometimes, quite unsettling glimpse into a world where international policies, security intelligence, intense personal conflicts just get tangled up in unexpected, significant ways.
So, considering the sheer breadth and at times conflicting nature of everything presented across these sources, what key questions really emerge for you about maybe the nature of truth, justice, that often unseen interplay between individual actions and these broader international events? What specific areas of further research or inquiry might these documents spark in your own thinking? Something for our listeners to ponder too.